All right, guys, Justin and Josh here, Russell Marine Products. So on one of our videos that we had on a comparison video, I believe it was the one that we had the Garmin Force and the Lowrance Ghost trolling motor on.
Yep.
We talked about an overall comparison, and what we really meant by that is we're going to compare apples by apples comparison of basically like our boat in the box bundle kit from the start across 3 major brands with trolling motors to go over what some of those costs are going to be and how those actually stack up. So we kind of dive into exactly what's needed for the apples by apples comparison and kind of what networking stuff goes along with that, because some stuff's easier than others and some's way more complicated than others. So we're going to do a rundown here and actually start up with that. And first we're going to start with Hummingbird products. So John's not here tonight. Where you at, John? Oh, by the way, you like our new chairs and desks? Aren't these fancy? More to come on that later.
Teasing.
Yeah. This is not a tease, but it is a tease. So first off, we're going to start with Hummingbirds, and the units we chose for this, again, we're going to do apples by apples comparison on this. We're going to do Solix units. We're doing 12-inch units across the board. So Hummingbird breakdown, we're going to start with an Ultrex 112 MSI with iPilot link. At the filming of this video, as I'm talking right now, that trolling motor is not even available yet. So that will give you side imaging, down imaging, and 2D sonar right off of that trolling motor. So Ultrex trolling motor 112/45 MSI with link is $3,199.99. Solix 12 MSI no transducer for the bow, $2,949.99. Solix 12 MSI for your console unit with transducer is $3,099.99. You're going to need a 5-port switch, a 10-foot and 15-foot Ethernet cable thrown in the mix, Y cable, in-hole 2D sonar. We're going to throw a LakeMaster Plus map chip in there, and we're also going with an Ultrex 360 Mega in there as well too. And some of the things that we're looking to do is this is how we would set up a boat in our shop. So we're doing a bass boat comparison, 2D sonar, totaling all this stuff up, comes to a grand total of $11,154.90. Again, we're doing an apples by apples comparison. They don't have any live imaging with Hummingbird, so this is why we went with the 360 Mega route. Again, at the time of this filming, not available, but it'll be available here fairly soon. So this way we can try to keep everything consistent across the board between the brands. So next up, we're going to head over to the Garmin and go over that setup and give you that grand total so you can compare.
Oh, that's me.
That is you.
All right, guys. So like Justin said, we're going to go apples. I'm going to say 2 apples. By apples is cool too, but I'm going to go with apples, 2 apples, whatever. So with the Garmin setup, going with the Garmin Force, it is included with that the GT54 UHD, which is their 3-in-1 transducer. UHD, the ultra high definition side, down, and the True Chirp 2D sonar. That comes in at $3,900. Golly, comes in at $3,099.99. We're going to pair these with the EchoMap Ultra units. Now, this is something we'll talk about in a different video as well, but we're going to do the 122 models. Now, on these, we're going to do both of them without the transducer. We're going to get to that, the reason why here in a sec. The first no transducer is because the transducer is built into the Force. Those come in at $2299.99 a piece, right at $2,300. To pair with that second non-transducer model, again, bass boat, we're doing a shoot-through GT8 transducer for $120 with a Y cable paired to the GT34 UHD transducer. Now, what that is, guys, that is a UHD transducer that only does side imaging and down imaging, clear view, side view. The importance there is the units cannot take 2 sources of 2D. That's why we use the Y cable on those transducers. That comes in at $250. Talked about why we're using the 122s or the lower model mapping units. Because they do not share preloaded mapping, we're going to add the Lakeview G3 Ultra map chip at $199.99 that will not only give you a few extra features over the preloaded that you would find on a 126, but it will share between both units. So it actually ends up saving you a couple $100 there. Along with that, we're doing the live scope, coming in at $14.99, the LBS 32. and it will require one 20-foot network cable. Notice the big difference here. We talked about Hummingbird, 5-port switch, extra network cables that adds up to a little bit more, which you see in the total here. The Garmin total comes in at $9,839.91, $1,500 less. So next, let's go back to Justin and we'll look at the Lowrance setup. Also, apples by apples.
All right. We're going to start off here with the Lowrance Ghost trolling motor. Now, again, as said very earlier, kind of with the Hummingbird and Solix setup that we discussed, trolling motor at this time, not readily available, but will be here in actually a few weeks. It's actually pretty cool. So to start off with this, we need to have the Lowrance Ghost trolling motor, 47-inch, comes in at $2,999.99. But to do an apples-to-apples comparison, we need to buy a 3-in-1 nose cone to replace that, which is super easy to do. More videos about that later. But that's going to come in at $299.99. And we have to add a remote to that to have an apples-to-apples comparison. The Garmin comes with a remote. It's pretty badass. And also the Hummingbird unit comes with a touchscreen LCD remote. That is also badass. So both of those come with it included. Lowrance does not. Lowrance's is basically a 4 or 5 button remote. It is not as fancy, actually, as the Garmin or Hummingbird, or Minn Kota, I should say.
Johnson Outdoors, yeah.
Yeah, but it's $100. We're going to go to a Lowrance HDS 12 Live, no transducer for both front and back, so both of those coming in at $2,999. We're going to go with a Lowrance 2-in-1 transducer for the console unit, and a Lowrance shoot through the hole transducer. Now, the transducer I'm going with on that, it's just strictly an 83-200 skimmer, nothing fancy, nothing with the external temp. That comes in at $59.99. We've got the Live Sight transducer to add to the bow of that, $999, 15-foot Ethernet cable. The main difference that this has to come into, much like Hummingbird, we've got some extra components that we need to have here to have full controllability of the trolling motor from the units. And to that, we need to add a NEMA starter kit, a single T connector, and a NEMA 2-foot drop-down cable for the unit on the bow to connect everything together. Now, the T connector does come with the trolling motor. There's some extra components that do come here, but everything will need to be utilized as the same to be able to have, again, integration of the trolling motor from the units. Whereas Garmin was completely wireless, we've got the Hummingbird Solixes that do have to be hard connected to that. That total for this Lowrance Live bundle with the Ghost trolling motor comes in at $10,855.88. So we're a little bit under the Hummingbird Solix. We're about $1,000 more than the Garmin Ultra package comparison. But I'm going to throw a monkey in the wrench here. So you have the ability with Lowrance to be able to operate a motor guide trolling motor. And the only reason, and I want to earmark this, the only reason I am bringing this motor guide and Lowrance situation out here in this comparison video is for one reason only. The motor guide has a great transducer in the trolling motor that will work with Garmin, Hummingbird, Lowrance, I believe Raymarine as well too. So it's got a great transducer, and that will give you 2D sonar and down imaging across the board on those different electronic packages. However, you only have the integration to be able to control the trolling motor from the graphs if you choose to from Lowrance. That's the only one at this time that you've got integration from on that. So we've got the Tour Pro, that trolling motor, that's a 105-pound thrust, so 36-volt trolling motor, 45-inch shaft, I believe, on that as well. Comes in at $2,699. We still need the Lowrance Live transducer, or excuse me, the Lowrance Live HDS 12 for front and back. Same transducers as the Lowrance, same networking cables, same NEMA starter kits as well too that we're going to be needing with that stuff. The only comparison I don't have on here is they do not offer a factory nose cone replacement to get you side imaging, down imaging, and 2D sonar off of that trolling motor. You could probably have the ability of buying like a 3-in-1 from Lowrance and mounting it to it. Yet to be determined on that. That would be an additional $299 plus a trolling motor adapter from us, be $89.95. But with 2D and down imaging only comparison on this motor guide Lowrance, this package price comes in at $10,199. $155.90. So it is more economical by about $700 versus going with all Lowrance stuff, but you are giving up some features on that, obviously. So one of the things I wanted to touch again, and some of you may try to think that we're skewing this at all. Yes, you can operate Helix units on a Hummingbird and Minn Kota package. Yes, we could operate an 8600 series on our Garmin series package. What we really went with is the high-end freshwater. Now, again, the 8600 series, that's developed for saltwater type stuff. We could do an equal comparison on Lowrance with a Simrad unit. So there's other things that we can do within that. This is what we see every day with people asking from real world case points on their bass boat configuration.
This is the closest comparison in application that's out there. And again, of course, you could go with the Helix, or, you know, with Garmin, the new 93 UHDs are going to be coming out if you want to drop down in size. There are other options out there, but this is all 12-inch units with the closest feature comparison that there is out there, you know, between the three brands. You know, all of them are solid. There are, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages everywhere.
Ford, Chevy, Dodge, as we say.
For sure. You know, make your choices from a value perspective. You can't just look at price. So, you know, value does not entail the cheapest. I'm a little predisposed to like the Garmin stuff anyway, much less it being cheaper. So that's a win-win on my end. But, you know, for you guys out there that are, you know, your Hummingbird guys, your Johnson Outdoors guys been running Minn Kota, and you want to stick with that. Yes, it's the most money, but to you still might get the most value there because it's a system you already know, technology you're already familiar with. So, you know, keep that in mind. We're not saying that because the Garmin is the cheapest and the Hummingbird and the Minn Kota is the most. It's not like a contest in that matter. No. What we're trying to do is give you guys the closest comparison, so you can get a baseline if you're basically looking to start from scratch.
And this kind of relates to, again, when it comes down to context, where do you want to spend your money? Is the trolling motor important to you, or is the electronic portion important to you? We've actually done so many installations. I am still so shocked at this to see this kind of coming array. But guys have Hummingbird Solix units or Helix units that they absolutely love, do not want to change that, but they want a live scope setup on their boat. Or, hey, they've got Lowrance live units and love everything about it, but I want a Garmin unit for, again, live scope setup. So there's other features, and they each have their own benefits for sure, you know, with things, but they're all different, you know. So it's the nice thing about having this comparison side by side, showing you the cost breakdown of everything. And more importantly, another factor that we haven't discussed yet, this is us talking about just real world costs within this stuff. So, for example, at our shop here, we do charge more on Hummingbird and Lowrance type stuff on installations because there's a lot more componentry going involved with that. There's a lot more things that are required per being correct by those manufacturers, especially with NEMA being one of them, that it's going to be more time consuming for us to install, and more importantly install correctly, of how things need to be networked and wired up to function correctly per Lowrance and per Garmin. So there's a lot going into that sometimes, you know, is not initially thought of as a factor when it comes into installation being one of those.
I'm talking about our shop. That's, you know, we're in the middle of the U.S. We're in Kansas, so, you know, we'd love to see you guys from all over, but we know that's not feasible all the time. As a general rule of thumb, you're going to see the same thing.
Yeah.
Installation costs are going to be higher because there's more components within the other brands. It just takes more shop hours. I mean, it just flat out takes more shop hours. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Appreciate you guys stopping out. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any other video ideas or any other comparisons that you guys like to see, be sure to drop them in the comments section below. Josh and I love to hear from you guys as always. Keep on trucking, guys. See you next time.
Bye.